What's going on, Tamers? It's me, Guy, back from the beach. Did I get a little tan? Can you tell? I think I did. Anyway, also got to see my first Japanese beach fireworks festival, and wow. But besides me going to the beach last weekend, another big event happened, and that was the release of the EX5 Animal Coliseum set, which means we're going to draw BT14's Blast ACE to a close over here in Asia. And so keeping up with the trend that I started in BT13, I'd like to do an entire retrospective of the BT14 Blast ACE set as a whole. So let's dive in. So while it was nowhere near as long as BT13 was, BT14's Blast ACE did have a couple of important things that happened during the set. This set provided the first official wave of Ace cards introduced into the game, where previously we only got access to 2 of those through the starter decks, that being the Metal Garurumon and the War Greymon card, but now we got lots of them, and they were also not level 6s, they were level 5s. Of the new Ace cards introduced in the set, the most useful ones were clearly, number 1, the Blue Zudomon Ace card, which could source strip and send cards back to your opponent's hand, followed by a close number 2 in the Magna Angemon card, which could DP- and recover at the same time. During this set, Bandai also introduced the Tamer Tour event, which was held in 5 different locations across Japan. And at those locations, you could purchase the boxes of the limited pack set, which introduced support for the Ghost Game cards. This support included things for Gamamon and Goromon and Jellymon, the protagonists, as well as Ace cards for each of them, being Siriusmon Ace, Rabbitmon Ace, as well as Amphibimon Ace? Amphibimon Ace? That set also included the green-yellow secret rare Quantumon, which has some cute ways that it could turn off effects on your opponent's turn. We can also use the limited pack release as a way to separate this set into 2 major time periods, the first being the BT14 Vanilla Blast ACE era, and then the limited pack era when that was released with all the Ghost Game support. With that said, let's take a closer look at both of these eras and see what the game looked like during these time periods. I think the one big takeaway from the Vanilla BT14 era is that the decks that were strong before this time period did not miss a step here either. Decks like Shine Greymon, War Greymon, and then Mirage Galgamon, which all benefited from the training cards' consistency and power, also saw top spots here as well. I think while the Ace cards were really useful, they did little to stop these super burst offensive decks. Things like Shine Greymon being able to kill you in a turn, War Greymon, while it typically won't kill you in one turn, can raise your entire board and then kill you the following turn. And then decks like Mirage Galgamon, which have incredible OTK potential, the Ace cards did little to stand in their way. Despite old decks being so strong, there were some new faces that creeped up in this set, those being the likes of Lugamon, the Yellow Vaccine deck, as well as my personal favorite, D-Brigade. And then finally, you'll also notice the revival of Setcon, or Security Control, at the bottom of this list, and that's because cards like Messenger of Hope, the TK Yellow Tamer card, as well as Patamon, all gave Yellow incredible resource and value out of some of their lower end cards and cheap options. However, switching gears here, once we moved into the limited pack era, we noticed a small shift in these top decks. The most noticeable of all those being Lugamon. Now, if you've watched my videos during the set at all, then you probably already know this, but Lugamon, while it took a little bit of time to get there, they definitely got there. The deck boasts incredible power, and usually by checking security, you end up helping them by giving them resources and things like the Analog Youth, as well as cards like Miss Memory Boost or the Purple Wisdom Training card. Another interesting and honestly personally surprising result of this era is the come up of Gamamon. I think Gamamon, while it got a lot of really good support, things like the Vocalmon that it needed, the Purple Gamamon card, as well as the Ace cards in Regulusmon and Siriusmon Ace, I gotta say, this deck is very, very difficult to pilot. The deck boasts a ton of different effects, but it's up to you to piece them all together to find a winning line to victory, and I'm happy to see that people did that here. It's also kind of sad to see D-Brigade slip in performance during the second half of the set, but I think that's because the deck does have some pretty easily slot-inable counters, things like Death Xmon, Shine Greymon Ruin Mode, as well as cards like Congo. Bloom Quartz, while being the old favorite for green decks out there, did try a little bit of experimentation with the secret rare Quantumon. Although I will say that even now, those decks are still the minority rather than the majority, but it'll be interesting to see where that deck lands coming into this next set. While we did take a look at both these eras, I do want to take a look at the BT14 set as a whole. Again, we had 508 games to pull data from, and these are your top 10 decks. Things like Shine Greymon, Lugamon, and War Greymon still taking top spots. Honestly, despite this list showing Lugamon in the second place spot, if we gave it enough time, I think that they would overtake Shine Greymon. The deck is very, very powerful once it's solved. Also, pending any banned or restricted list updates, this is probably the weakest Lugamon will ever be, and in EX5's Animal Coliseum, the deck did receive more support. Another big takeaway from this set is I think people were worried on both ends, and rightly so, about the introduction of Ace cards and their effect on the game. And if we take a look at cards like Zudomon Ace or Magna Angemon Ace, I think these are really good examples of Ace cards done right. They're both useful, provide interesting effects defensively, and increase the viable pool of decks out there. And honestly, I hope that they use these 2 cards as the roadmap for Ace cards moving forward, because I think overall they make the game more fun and more enjoyable to play. And so with that, let's take a look at the final results list for the BT14 set, where we see all of the decks presented here. Anyways folks, I hope that you guys enjoyed the BT14 meta coverage over here in Asia, and I hope that when you get your hands on it over there in the West, you have just as much fun as I did with it. That being said, EX5 is already released over here, and I gotta get to deck building. I think my goal for this set is to get Metal Etamon to work, which means expect a deck profile in the coming weeks. Anyways folks, I'm gonna get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.